Hi, Manna family. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, birds of a feather flock together. It's an old proverb that's a way of saying that people are attracted to people like themselves. Even more importantly, people who are in a flock begin to behave like the flock. It's the law of association, which says that over time, we become like the people we associate with. We need to choose our friends carefully because over time they will shape our character and conduct, and we will shape their character and conduct as well. You know, our social environment doesn't control us, but it does strongly influence us. Social association is a powerful, powerful influence on human behavior. Just look at social media to see how it impacts things. King Solomon illustrated this when he wrote a very profound thought in Proverbs 13:20, which says, "He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm." See, when you're walking with someone, you're walking in the same direction and you're walking toward the same destination. If you've got a close friend who you're intimate with and they're making foolish life choices, then you're probably making foolish life choices along with them, because when they wind up making bad decisions, those bad decisions impact you. So in today's terminology, we would say that wisdom and foolishness are both contagious upon prolonged contact. That's why, in essence, Solomon says, quarantine yourself from foolish people. Socially distance yourself from people who are committed to do wicked things so you won't learn from their bad behaviors. Do affiliate and associate and become intimate and habitually associate with God's people. Hebrews 10:24 says, "Let us consider how to stimulate one another to love and good deeds, not forsaking our own assembling together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." So God's people should spend quality time with God's people, but they should also spend quantity time with God's people so that we can encourage one another and stimulate and exhort each other to love and good deeds. Solomon tells us the principle underlying that in Proverbs 27:17, when he says very simply, "Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." If you've ever sharpened a kitchen knife with a whetstone, a honing wheel, or even a grinding wheel, you know that sharpening iron produces heat and friction and sometimes even sparks. When you sharpen a knife blade, you're really removing minute amounts of metal from the edge of that blade in order to keep it really, really sharp. It's interesting that the most dangerous knife in your kitchen is never the really sharp ones. It's always the dull ones, because you have to apply a lot more pressure to get them to cut appropriately, and that's when accident can happen. It's also paradoxically true that the most dangerous people in your life are probably the spiritually dull ones. You know, a knife or a scissors doesn't fulfill its function unless it cuts cleanly and easily and precisely. And the only way that can happen is if it's sharp. And Solomon says, when you affiliate with God's people, when you associate with wise people, God's people will sharpen you and make you stronger and spiritually more mature. You have to work harder to keep up with a diligent person as opposed to a slow person. That's why hanging out with foolish people really slows you down spiritually. Hanging out and affiliating and associating with on a regular basis with God's people makes you sharper and spiritually stronger. And that, of course, implies that we're willing to be humble and honest and admit that, yes, I'm dull in some areas and I need sharpening up, but it also involves some accountability, because I won't stop doing what I'm currently doing and change direction unless I'm willing to repent. So the message is, stay close to wise people. Stay close to people who challenge your life by their character and conduct, who love you enough to hold you accountable. And most of all, the person you want to walk closely with every day is Jesus Christ. Proverbs says there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And as we walk with Jesus every day, intimately, hand in hand, through life, we will become more and more like him. Remember, God designed us to do life together